Hi, I'm Wayne, founder of Tyrion, and I'm here with Tyrion's research director, Paul Sztorc, to talk about Drivechain. Drivechain is a technology that Paul's been working on for a long time. It allows you to extend Bitcoin's capabilities without creating a new altcoin and without damaging Bitcoin itself. So, Paul, why don't you take a second to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit more about Drivechains? And you've got an announcement today as well.
Yes. So I have been involved in Bitcoin for a while, and I have talked at the first three scaling conferences, and I was on the program committee for the fourth, just to give you a tiny idea. And yes, Drivechain is my sidechains technology. So I also run a blog at truthcoin.info. One of the blog posts was about sidechains technology, and now I have built it. And what sidechains are is basically you have the same 21 million Bitcoins, but you can send them to different pieces of software. And so you get all the freedom of an altcoin, but none of the inherent competitiveness with Bitcoin. And the big announcement is that we have the first test net. It's going to be out. We're going to be resetting it and adding more new and improved test nets rapidly, but the first one is here, and you can download two software applications. One looks a lot like Mainchain Bitcoin. They both look a lot like Mainchain Bitcoin Core, but one of them will have no coins on it, and you can send money over there and then send it back. And so that's the announcement. We're calling it the Drivechain Test Drive.
Yes, Drivechain Test Drive. So if people are Bitcoin software developers who are interested in Drivechain technology, what is it that you hope that they'll do by taking a look at this, and what do you want them to make? What kind of feedback are you looking for from the community?
You gotta take it for a test drive. That's the well, I mean, it's really hard, I think, to explain what's going on here, and really very few people totally even grok what the intent is with sidechains, I think. So I think it's really misunderstood, and I do think it's similar to the way Bitcoin was misunderstood when it was first published to the world. It was really hard to explain, and you had to basically just kind of send someone some Bitcoin to get them to download a desktop client or something on the phone, and just send it back and forth in order for people to understand. Oh, it's sort of like email kind of. So I think that's what I want out of this. So you go to drivechain.info is the project site, and you can download. We'll have all the stuff for downloading or building from source or whatever. We'll have the binaries there, and you can do all of your safe software installation practices and download this software. And we've spun up on this testnet. We've just spun up a bunch of coins and just conjured them out of thin air and given them to myself and the other people involved. So we will just be handing those out in a kind of faucet, or just message us on Twitter or Telegram, and we will be giving out these coins so you can use them for free, send the coins over and send them back, report any bugs you find. We'll have issues. So it's a normal software development party.
Great. So this initial test drive is going to end at some point in the future, and you're going to have successive releases of this until the community feels it's at the point where they want to start building production things on top of it. What are some of the things that people can build on top of Drivechain?
Yes, well, you could people could make their own sidechains or their own Drivechains. It's now kind of being called that. The individual sidechains in Drivechain are now being called Drivechains, which is fine. I think that's good enough. But you could start working on that now. It's just that these coins will not necessarily have any value or really any meaning necessarily until it's ready to go. But there's lots of things that people can do. I mean, the assets thing is one thing that a lot of people are really, really into. I think that clearly it really helped Ethereum out, and it really created a lot of buzz, and it generated a lot of transaction fees and things. So I have a spec for that on my blog if you're interested in going in that direction. I think I just called it, if you just search bit assets, I think you'll find it very soon. My blog is truthcoin.info. If there are a lot of search results for that. The one super easy thing is this block size debate, which is just you just take the code that you already have on the main chain and you just copy paste it. Every line of code is the same, but just increase the block size or make it increase and grow geometrically over time or something. And then you can have, users can choose which, fork they would like to be on. They have to make one transaction to escape on the main chain, but then you have all this permissionless innovation. Again, you're sending the coins to another piece of software. So whatever piece of software you want, you can write, or you can take something. You can take Zcash, you can take Monero, and you can try to transform them into sidechains, which hopefully will be, ideally it will be very, very easy. At first, it probably will take a little getting used to.
Let's talk about this a little bit more for a second, because it's been about a year since Bitcoin forked and Bitcoin Cash came into existence. So, in a world where there were Drivechain had existed at the time, there would have been the option to be able to create a drive chain that had a higher block size that people would be able to optionally send their existing Bitcoins over to, instead of creating a whole new fork, 21 million new coins, and everything else. So I think that is a key thing, a key enabler for innovation on top of Bitcoin. And hopefully sidechains will at least present developers with a set of new options for building on top of Bitcoin without having to create a whole new hard fork.
Yeah, things would have been very different. It would have been very easy. Well, it's super easy to just copy over the code and change that block size. As we could see in many of the scaling proposals, they had the code finished or changing the block size. That's an easy code change. So that would have been easy, and then they would have just been added via soft fork to Bitcoin. So if you've got 83.2% of the hash rate or whatever SegWit2x had, they just added it. And then there's one disadvantage, which is that you have to make the one transaction on the old chain to move over. But you can even have like one guy with a lot of Bitcoin do that, and you can rearrange stuff later. So it's not a very significant disadvantage, I think, especially if you do it early enough in advance. So I think it would have gone a lot better, and then everyone would still be part of the same project. There'd be none of this animosity, none of this distraction, this drama. All this stuff's very distracting.
Great. So, Paul, if someone's a Bitcoin developer and they like sidechains technology and they've been interested in this for a time and they want to experiment with drive chains, what should they do?
I think, you go to drivechain.info, download it. Check out, again, safe software practices. So read the source code to the extent that we'll have a diff. We're going to have a diff on there of just every line of code changed from the latest Bitcoin Core release, although I guess you shouldn't really trust that. But we'll have it anyway. And so you can download this software and play with it and send some coins back and forth. And so you have kind of two options, really, which is help us work on the connecting tissue or build your own crazy project and just try to build it in a way that it's easy for you to add this library we have a sidechain template, and you just add this little library for receiving the coins from Bitcoin Core and for sending them back. And then you can do something that's a part of Bitcoin, even if it's a truly ridiculous idea or very ambitious idea or an outright mistake. It still has a path to being tried out. So I think that's you can do any of those things. I think that'd be great.
Great. And Paul, how can people find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter, so you should look for me on TruthCoin on Twitter, TruthCoin, and I think you'll find me. You'll find me there.
Excellent. Well, you and I have been friends for a long time, for many years. Me, you, and Preston Byrne were the only three people in Connecticut that we knew who were into Bitcoin. So you've been working on this since 2015. So I just want to say congratulations. I'm happy for you that you've gotten to the point where Drivechain is ready for a test drive. And I can't wait to see what people build. And thanks for taking some time today to chat about it.
My pleasure. Thank you.